Hello, Star Wars Unboxing fans. Welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba, Star Wars Unboxing Show. I'm your host, Darth Tuba, here with our vintage collection, or at least part of the vintage collection. The vintage collection has grown to be rather insane. It is now up to, I think they just announced VC 300 at the time of this recording. VC 300. 300 vintage collection figures. Vintage collection. This is vintage collection. It looks like the old Racing Stripe, Star Wars, Empire Jedi, figure design or box design, card design from the 70s and 80s. Well, as I've mentioned on this channel, I have started to look at these as like the definitive version of these figures. Okay, meaning if we get to a character, like say for example, we have Logray, right? Logray over here. To me, this is the definitive Logray. All right, I don't believe they're going to they may make another Logray, I'm sure. I can't tell the future. But I'm just saying that when it comes to, oops, sorry for my wobbliness there. When it comes to figure collecting, I am getting to the point now where it's just getting too insane. This is only part of it. Over here, this is where it starts. Okay, I'll show you. Right there. It continues from here. It continues through here. I use my rafters to take on the next ones. And it continues up here. And it continues and 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 continues. I am out of room. It's crazy. Okay? Now, the thing is that I have other types of figures up here too. I have figures like these. I have like Rogue One. I have some of the Mission series. I have Legacy Collection. I have more Legacy Collection. I have some of the Macquarie design figures. Many of these I have doubles of. So these are the things that I am working to thin out, okay? Up here, we have some Power of the Jedi, okay? We have some original, these are the original trilogy ones. These are ones I'm actually looking to get rid of, too. In the future, here's some Revenge of the Sith, some Leia 2-packs, okay? These are original vintage, okay? They are it's not a complete collection, but it's a collection of a decent number of them. I've gone through this on the channel before, but the reason I'm showing you this is because I also have a nice collection of loose figures. And these are figures that go back from, like, I would say a little bit of Power of the Force, a little bit of Empire, a little bit of Phantom Menace, a little bit of Attack of the Clones. I've been trying to kind of keep them all together. Up here, like, as an example of some of them. And over here is an example of some of them, right? So what I've been trying to do, though, is over the last couple of days, I'm for those who don't know, I'm a teacher, and I have the summer off, but that's coming to an end. So I've been working to just try to organize things a little bit better. Why? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, as I've said on the channel many, many times, I am in the process of thinning out the collection. And in thinning out the collection, I am looking to find ways to, I'm coming to grips with the fact that I don't need 47 Han Solo in his A New Hope outfit. Okay, I could probably get away with far less than that. So again, I want to maybe keep one carded, like the vintage collection version, one other kind of version. I mean, obviously they do, Hasbro was smart. They did a lot of things like, they have Han Solo, with Stormtrooper gear, or they have Han Solo with just the Stormtrooper belt, so they have a lot of different ones, but a lot of them are the same. And so anyway, I've just been going through trying to organize things. So I've started on a project that might take me weeks to finish, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to show you. Okay, so what I've done here, okay, is I've kind of created this, and you've seen this in the backdrop for many, 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 many years, actually. But these are essentially figures that are in these loose kind of clamshell cases. Now, some people will say, why are you taking out of the cards and just putting them here? Well, a couple of reasons. One, I had them in diorama displays, and another one is that I did actually pose them a little bit more. And thirdly is that look at how much room this takes up versus if I tried to put them on the card. They would take up, I would maybe get this many figures from here to here. I would get this much on this wall. But now, I've got this much. So, and more here, okay? But the problem I'm running into is that my figures are kind of all mishmashed. So, meaning they're kind of all over the place. You can tell what I was doing in the past is that I actually cut the card. So I remember that this one, for example, Command of Bakara. 49, Revenge of the Sith. Okay, so, and these are all kind of, now I do have, I believe, a complete or almost complete collection of these, but some of them are carded and some of them are loose. So I'm just kind of putting them in order. But when I try to do this, I realize that all these cards that are down here, all of them up here, and all the ones back here, okay? Hey, Charlie Chaplin. All right, all these figures are kind of all over the place. Okay? So I need to figure out a way to organize them better. So here's what I'm doing. So down here you can see I have a label. I have a label maker, and I picked up some labels, and I actually have marked a label on each one of these like this. For example, Saga Collection, number 041, which is what its card number was. Death Star Gunner, and again, I just put Saga Collection at the end there. Now, the one thing I didn't put is the year, but if I have the collection itself, there's Original Trilogy Collection, there's 30th Anniversary Collection, Power of the Force 2, Power of the Jedi, Episode 1, Attack of the Clones, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. There's all sorts of different ones. If I can do that, then I think I could be in a good place to organize them. But what I want to do right now is I think I'm going to take everything, literally everything, off the shelves and kind of stack them in places, right? Now that's challenging because I know that we have a, fall. This is the fall, and anybody who's watched my channel knows that in the fall we get this really annoying thing called hurricanes, and hurricanes can sometimes lead to flooding. And right under there, basically in this spot right here, there is a drain. It's designed so that if these pipes, which are insulated here, these are water pipes, if they ever burst, the water has someplace to go. Okay, so we don't get like excessive flooding. The problem is that when it rains enough, water comes up. And in the last couple of years, we've had a few more hurricanes. We've gotten about this much water, about 3 to 4 inches of water. It's okay. This door opens up to the outside. There's a drain outside that does go down a long hill. So unless we get Noah's Ark level of flooding, it's always easy to just open the door and let the water drip out. So I don't want to put stuff on the ground. And also this is you can tell this is actually just I don't know what they call it, but it's just 16 by 16 foam stuff. They usually put this in like weight rooms, and I use this because I can very easily just take them all out, and I can actually just let them dry out in the sun after a flood and then put them right back, and they're fine. So I have a table here. I'm going to set up the table so I can start taking down as many figures and try to put them in some level of order. So I'm going to work on that right now. All right, so this is like the first phase. Now all of these are the ones that were on the top part of that wall, right? And these are all the ones that I've marked already. And I kind of separated them just a little bit. Like these are the Episode 1 figures. These are Original Trilogy, this little pile right here. This is 30th Anniversary. Saga. There's some Attack of the Clones. There's some Shadows of the Empire. And this larger amount here, this is all the Legacy Collection. They're kind of balancing. This is all the Revenge of the Sith. And this huge pile right here is Clone Wars. Okay, there's some 2-packs and smaller packs of battle packs. Those guys I haven't marked yet. You see, I haven't put the label on, so I'm actually going to remove them. There's a couple of individual things here. Okay? Now, thing is, we haven't even done this wall. Okay, there's this. There's the bottom of this. And then there's all of that. So this is, like I said, this is a project. All right, I'm going to walk you through it like fast forwarding. But what I want to do now is essentially go through here and take all of these guys down. I have a little box here. I put things in that have to go upstairs. I was doing the labeling downstairs, and my wife, being the smart one of the two of us, said, Will, you have air conditioning upstairs? I mean, it's damp down here. I have the dehumidifiers going, but when a dehumidifier goes, it does almost give off a little warm air while it's sucking out the moisture. So, it's just the power of the machine, for example. So, as a result, it gets a little bit warm out down here, and here it is. It feels cool, but then it's damp, and that dampness goes away, and it's replaced by warmth. So anyway, so I'm going to bring a few things up, and then continue to label. So the next clip you see will probably be kind of maybe a day or 2 or 3 later. Okay. One of the things I wanted to bring up, though, and this is a great way to consider displaying figures if you use these little clamshell cases. These things are pretty inexpensive. They're just a soft plastic. Okay, they're not hard. They're a little bit malleable, and they run, I don't know, like $40, $35 for like $100. You can probably get them cheaper. Okay. I have 2 sizes though. I have these little ones for like, my thinner figures, and then when I have a bigger figure that has a cape, or in this case like the carbonite, I have to use these bigger containers. Okay. What I did, and I got this off of the internet, because anything off the internet is gold, right? Right? Anyone? No? Okay. I took what was essentially, this is if you think about paneling, like this wall is actually like wood paneling, and they go a certain amount of time, and then they in this case they actually like molded them and glued them to the studs down here. But you can also build these by taking this. In fact, I think my bathroom actually does this. If you look, there is actually ways to take like molding like this, right? Corner molding, that kind of thing. And you can actually, here's an example of like side molding. These pieces, just put pieces together, and it's just an inexpensive way to, clean up, a basement space. Well, anyway, I found a different use. Since there's a bit of a groove here, right, and a bit of a groove here, I can take a figure, right, has a little bit of a groove at the bottom, a little bit of groove. It has a little peg hole if you want to hang them, but I find that if you do this, they hold that pretty well. Okay. Now, there's only one little problem. That works really well for this figure, this size, but this is a certain length, top to bottom. Okay, now let's take a look at Luke here. Luke, all right, now this Luke, I don't want to use this Luke, hold on. Where's a Luke I can use? Is there one down here? No. I got to find one that I didn't alter. Okay, here we go. Here's Ahsoka, right? And you can see, if I line Ahsoka up next to Anakin, right, look at how much taller her plastic is, right? Which means that if I try to put this in here, it doesn't work. It doesn't fit, right? I can't push it in. It won't work. So I have to do one of 2 things. I either have to change the distance between this and this to accommodate these types of figures one way, and then these types of figures the other way. But I don't want to do that because I want them to kind of be in as much alphabet, or not like numerical order or section order, as I can. So the other option is to do what I did here, which I basically just cut the top off. Now in this case, I was very careful not to cut. It's hard to see in the. I was very careful to keep the peg hole in case I wanted to reuse it later, and then that way it still works as a peg hole and it still does this, and it fits. However, I have also decided that I'm not going to worry about it if the peg hole gets broken. I think one of these, like this one, it actually busted. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Okay, but if you really want to do it, they will line up if you get this one to work perfectly. The other one will work if you cut it just a little bit down. But this is by far a better way to display. Now, there are some things that I started using white duct tape to kind of cover up any issues, like things popping out. If it gets dry down here, that tends to happen. So that's kind of another thing I'm doing this for, is to kind of repair all these. Like here's one where it's like this has gotten too tall. Like I can't even put a figure there without it falling out. So I took a piece of duct tape and just kind of folded it on itself, just so that I can leave it kind of just placed there, and it works too. So you can do that as well. So I hope this gives you an idea, some ideas, things of what you can do, different displayable ideas. Okay, but and as I said, when we get to these bottom ones, there are some that are I may have to just reset them. okay, which I'll do. I have no problem doing that. But all these figures still need to get labeled, and I want to do that. Why do I want to do that? Labeling the figures is an excellent way to remember what they are, to remember what series they came from, what year they were made. You putting them in these clamshells, you can keep all of their accessories. It's such a better way than, you know, I do a lot of displaying and everything, and that's fine, and putting stuff loose. I mean, I do that over here with the Black Series and with the Disney figures, right? But the problem is that, again, you know, one of these days something's going to knock over and they're all going to fall to the ground, and then you lose track of where everything is. This is a much better way to keep them organized. I know some people who put them in drawers, which is great. It's a great way to store them, great way to mark them, but then you're not displaying them, you're not seeing them, you just own them, which doesn't make sense to me. They're not, especially when they're loose, it's not like you're collecting gold coins here, you're collecting figures. You want the figures to be seen. All right? But the other reason I do this is because when the time comes, I'm going to sell these things eventually, and if I don't, sorry for the pop there, if I don't, my family will. All right? And as a result, I want to make it as easy for them and any other buyers who come in looking at figures and wanting to buy figures, I want to make it as easy for them to see where the figure's from. Because, you know, Han Solo is a Han Solo. Some people are really good at picking out exactly which Han Solo it is, but most people, Han Solo is going to fall into many, many different things. Like this Han Solo, the only thing that differentiates him from other Han Solos, I mean, aside from a slight different sculpt, but at first glance it might not be easy to pick up, but he has this little cable, like I think when he's in the Falcon, shooting the gun when they're escaping the Death Star. That's it. All right, that's the kind of level of different Han Solos they've been doing. If he's holding a glove, if he's holding a thermal detonator, that's a different Han Solo. If he's being tortured, that's another Han Solo. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. So next video, we'll see us hopefully giving you an update on where everything is. Right now, I'm going to continue taking these down, boxing some things up, separating some more figures into sections, and we'll see how we go. Okay, so now we have a very clean, ready to go display arena that we can put our stuff in. Now, we do have a little bit down here. I actually used some command strip hooks, okay, which in some ways I like because they're very adjustable. You can pull it off and do another one, but they are kind of expensive because, you know, when I tried using some cheaper ones, like you can see here, these are not command strips. These are like a kind of a, you know, a non-generic, like a generic brand. Like there's your 3M and 3M. These have all been falling off. So if you're going to do something like this, do not use anything but 3M. 3M, they stay on, and it's been great. So just keep that in mind. Now, where are my figures? Well, we got some here on my couch, and they actually are, here's my Solo loose figures. Okay, here's the Resistance. Here's one vintage collection, or two vintage collection figures. Okay, have them behind them. There's a Andor and Migs, right? These are the only figures that I haven't I've taken out of the package, only because I had multiple of them. We got some Last Jedi, Rebels, Rogue One, Force Awakens. Okay, there's an entertainment, or like a Crimson Empire pack, some 2-packs, comic packs there. Okay, and then there's this. And believe it or not, this is actually organized. These are Clone Wars, more Clone Wars. These are Revenge of the Sith, Episode 1. These are all kind of one-offs of different things. Oh, well, actually, no. 30th anniversary collection could go up here. Oh, you know why, though? It's part of a legacy collection. I'm just trying to separate them. This was a Celebration 4 exclusive, like that kind of thing. Okay, down here we have some old Saga collection, right? Then we have the newer Saga collection. Then we have 30th anniversary, okay? And then we have Legacy collection, a lot of Legacy. Okay, Black Series, when Black Series was doing 3 3/4 inch. Some battle packs loose. Over here is Power of the Force, and over here is Power of the Jedi. So what I wanted to do, my original intent was to just kind of clean up that space over there, right? But what I instead decided to do was kind of set them up so I can put them up in order. Now, the nice thing about the earlier sets and the later sets is that they're not in any real order. I mean, I'm sure that there's a release order if you do that research. I'm not going that deep because I have a lot of figures still on the card. So I just wanted to kind of put them up in release order. All right. So Power of the Force would be first, followed by Power of the Jedi, and then and then Episode 1 and so on. Right. So that's kind of where I want to go with that. All right. So I don't know if I'm going to get to this today. This might be a project that I'm going to start another day. So we'll see. I'm going to try. We'll see. Okay, so you can see where I'm going with this, right? We're starting off with Power of the Force, Power of the Force, Power of the Force. Then we go to, happen to just be the new row. Well, there's some Shadows of the Empire. Oh, by the way, a little Easter egg. Not Star Wars. Yes, Star Trek. Call that my hidden Trek there, but it's okay. Power of the Jedi. Now, Power of the Jedi actually came after. I think it was kind of mixed before and after, but I'm just kind of keeping all the lines together. So it's actually after Episode 1, which is up here, right? Those are little Comtech chips, right? And then continue, right? All of these figures were kind of random. There was no numbering to them. But this, now it takes a little time because each of these have a number. So I'm going to have to go through this and number them. So I'll do that first off camera, and then I'll just continue getting them up there. There it is, back in all of its glory. And I know for those looking at this, if they look at the beginning and you look at now, you might think there's no difference. Well, there is a difference. The difference is that it's mostly in order, and I say mostly. I'll explain what that is in a moment. But as you can see, we started off. We have our Power of the Force. Of course, I mentioned earlier our little Star Trek cameos. Power of the Force, Power of the Jedi, Episode 1. Then I moved over to Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith. I had some Attack of the Clones, but not many. Most of them are carded. Saga collection, some comic packs and evolutions. And then we end up with Revenge of the Sith. Then Saga or I should say, is it the Saga? Yeah, the Saga collection. There was like Star Wars Saga and the Saga collection. So, okay. This door won't shut. Stay shut. And then we get down here, we're into the Clone Wars. And I was able to get most of the Clone Wars over here. I did start a few extra ones over here. Some packs, some 2-packs. Okay, and then we go up here and we hit. That's the Legacy collection, right? All the way down. We have one mission series right here. This 2-pack of Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. I'm actually decided to sell off the mission series. Except for this one, because this is the only Darth Maul like this I have. So I'm trying to look through all these and create kind of maybe one of every figure, meaning one of every character. At least in terms of, I don't mind having multiple Han Solos or Luke Skywalkers dressed differently. But I mean, when the characters make one appearance, I don't know if I need multiple types. So that might be something I'll go through. Here we have the Black Series, when they were doing 3 3/4 inch Black Series. For those who don't know this, they actually were doing like 5 POA figures for Rebels and Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and then they did these higher end ones called Black Series. Well, they've switched those over to the Vintage Collection these days. So some of these figures are straight repacks. So I'll definitely be going through and kind of eliminating ones that I don't have, and then I can consolidate this a bit. Okay, and then as you can see, there's a lot missing. What I'm going to probably do with this wall is continue to add retro figures, retro collection, or retro, like new retro ones, and just kind of, take this much of this wall and do that with those. So, and of course, if you look closely, up here, Last Jedi, Solo. Most of my Rise of Skywalker figures are still carded because they were all vintage collection, except for and then these two that I said were my only two unopened, my only two opened vintage collection. So, and of course, a pile of Revenge of the Sith figures got away from me, and I had them accidentally in another pile. So I'm temporarily keeping them there because it's going to be a big adjust. So one of these days when I go through all of the figures, but I'm not really interested in parting with Masamita here, because that's, I think, there are two Masamitas, but they were played by different actors, so they look different. So I don't know if I want to part with that or any of these. You know what I mean? But super articulated clone trooper. We'll see. We'll see how many there are. Okay, so you can see the room is getting a little more organized, right? We got another thing. We have, I've shown this episode the glasses from the vintage days. Well, here are the glasses from the Target, like looking plastic glasses that they came with figures. I've managed to secure all of them, and I'm going to do an unboxing with them in an upcoming episode, so we can add them to that little area. Although I don't know if I want to leave them there. We're into hurricane season. Anything on the lowest shelf, most things are either non-damaging if they get wet, or they're just, I don't really care if they get wet, that kind of thing. That's why everything's up a little bit. So anyway, there are so many fantastic collections out there that do so many awesome things. I do the best I can with the funds and the money that I have. So, all right, well, that'll do it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Check me out on Instagram and X and other platforms. And thanks to Red 5 for supporting the channel. And check out all the other Red 5 network content. Until next time, may the Force and the toys, boxed or unboxed, be with you.